Okay, so I'll start without any further delay. So, welcome friends to this very brief introduction, basic introduction to superconductivity, which is specially designed for friends. So, actually, so first let's discuss what are the signature of superconductivity. Okay. So there are like in material when you can say that this material is superconducting, we first know that. First to understand that we have to know the signature. So the first signature that we all maybe know, that is the zero resistance. That this material, the material when they are in superconducting phase, they generally shows zero resistance phenomena. Like up to below a certain below a certain temperature, the resistance vanishes magically, right? And which was first observed in 1911, which Kamerlingh Onnes first observed in Mercury while he was working with liquid helium. And liquid helium was discovered just around that time only. Before that, it was not possible to go below some 15 Kelvin temperature. Okay, so that was the first time it was possible to go below that temperature, and so they was measuring the resistance of so many materials, and they found accidentally the resistance of the mercury to be dropped to zero, and that was the started a new era, which is called this superconductivity. So the first is the resistance is zero. Then second, okay, so can you guys see my pointer? Hello?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So the first is this one. Then second is the absence of the thermoelectric effect. So in this material, generally there is no thermoelectric effect. Thermoelectric effect means like because there is no resistance, so there will be no dissipation of heat, right? No dissipation. So dissipation in the form of heat. So there will be no Thomson heat. There will be no Peltier heat. There will be no this kind of some effects are there which is absent in superconductivity. This is another signature. After that, so superconductors are usually ideal diamagnet. Ideal diamagnet means they usually expel all the magnetic fields from the bulk of the material. So if you, so their susceptibility is generally -1. So they are in that sense they are diamagnet. And Meissner effect, this fourth one is the Meissner effect. So Meissner effect is related to this diamagnetism, and this means that when suppose you put a superconductor in a magnetic field, okay, in a magnetic field, previously you put a material in a magnetic field and then you cool it down below its transition temperature Tc, the superconducting transition temperature, and you will see that when it goes below this Tc, the material expels all the magnetic field from its bulk, and that effect is called the Meissner effect. And also we see this flux quantization kind of thing. If you keep a superconducting ring, then you will see that flux is inside through this ring will be generally quantized. So these are the some basic feature of superconductivity, and you can tell that this, if material shows this kind of features, you can tell that they are superconductors. All right. So next is, so let's try to understand. We will try to understand what are the underlying theories behind this superconductivity. So it is actually very big. It was a very big puzzle, and people. It took around after the first discovery of the superconductivity, it took around 40 to 50 years.
But
Yeah.
sorry for that. In that one previous slide, you mentioned that diamagnetic and this flux quantization both have different type of superconductor, right?
Both?
Different type of superconductor, right? Type 1, type 2.
No. They all kinds of type 1, type 2, both kind of superconductors shows this kind of
but
phenomena.
Both
Yeah.
flux quantization in both type 1 and type 2 it shows.
Yeah, I guess so. I think it is a general phenomena.
Yeah, this is the general phenomena, flux quantization.
Okay.
Yeah, any superconductor type 1 also will show. Type 2 will definitely show. Yeah, I think it is shows. Because this is the basic signature of superconductivity. It was not where this is provided it is not any classified like it is type of for type 1 or type 2, because it is given as a general, that is a signature of superconductivity. So I think it will show for type 1 also, but okay, so if there is a confusion we can check it later. Yeah. Okay, so this is, so the basic underlying theories are, so there are two approaches are there. One is this microscopic approach, another is phenomenological approach. So the phenomenological approach is the top to bottom, top down approach, and microscopic approach is the down to top approach. Like in microscopic approach, you start with at the microscopic level of the material, and you try to see what is happening between the electrons or in that level, in that energy scale, and from there you try to build up all the possible phenomena that we see for the superconductivity, that you try to describe. So you try to describe from this down to top approach, that is the BCS theory, which is a microscopic theory, and this Ginzburg-Landau theory is the, you see a phenomena. So any phenomenological theory means you see a phenomena and you try to describe that phenomena by some physical intuition or maybe some guess, by some kind of theory. You build up the theory from the phenomena. That's why it's called phenomenological theory. So that is the basic difference between these two kinds of theories. Okay. So for BCS theory, these are the topics that we are going to discuss mainly in here. So first we will discuss about the Cooper pairs, then we will talk about this origin of the attractive interaction. So we know that this is the attractive interaction is there between electrons, which is unusual. So how this attractive interaction comes into picture. Then we will talk about this ground state, like ground state wave function, and then this celebrated gap of the superconductivity, that is the celebrated phenomenon of superconductivity, that there is an energy gap. So in general, so that we will talk about that. Then we will talk about the isotope effect. This isotope effect is very much interesting, and it actually, this confirms that the superconductivity that we found was actually electron phonon phenomena. That is the indication from this isotope effect. Then this finite temperature effect, how to determine the TC, that we will see. Then we will talk about density of states, and then electron tunneling between two metals, or like one can be normal, one can be normal superconductor, then one can be superconductor. So these things we are going to discuss under the BCS umbrella of BCS theory. Okay, so first we will talk about these Cooper pairs. So for this, let's look at these equations first. So what this equation, so first this is you can see as this is a wave function. So what is happening, so in a material in general, we think like this material is a sea of electron, which is called the Fermi sea. And so we want to see, okay, so to form superconductivity, we want to see whether a bound state can exist between two electrons or not. If a bound state can exist between two electrons, then we can say, okay, so this is our first step towards our explaining the superconductivity, because that is the first thing, because we know that there is the general Coulomb repulsion between the electrons. So there cannot be any bound state in general. For two body problem in general, for 3 dimensions, there is no bound state. So if we can show somehow that there is a bound state exists between these two electrons, then we can say that this is the first step towards explaining the superconductivity. So for that, we write a wave function for two particle. A general two particle wave function we are writing, but here you see, for writing this wave function, we are taking one momenta as k and another momenta as minus k. The reason behind this is the general argument which was given by Bloch, and he said that, and this is a general argument, that this actually will help you to minimize the energy of the ground state. So if the total momenta is 0, total moment of the two particle is 0, then it will minimize the energy. So for that sense, they guessed the wave function, started with the wave function like this. So this is the special wave function. Now second, what we have to do, it's very simple. Once you get a wave function, put it in the Schrodinger equation. So you put it the Schrodinger equation, and by putting it you get to this equation, the second equation. Okay, now here is the interesting fact. So this Gk is the weighting factor. So Gk is at the weighting factor. This V is the interaction strength between the two electrons. Okay, and here you see, after putting in the Schrodinger equation, we get this E minus 2 epsilon k, right? Now this epsilon k is in the free state energy of the particle. So if these electrons were not interacting with each other, okay, so what we are doing, we are putting two electrons on the Fermi C. We are putting two electrons from the outside on the top of the Fermi C, and we try to see if they form a stable ground state or not. That's what we want to see. And this Ek is the energy before the interaction. So before putting on the Fermi C, so that is the Ek, and this E is the energy afterwards. Okay, so if we can show that this E, okay, this E is less than 2 epsilon k, that means it will become negative, right? So that will in turn will indicate towards a bound state. So that's all we want to do. We want to show that this E is less than 2 epsilon k. Okay, so for that, now for moving forward with the theory, so generally BCS what did, so this BCS was actually Bardeen, Cooper and Schrieffer. They gave the first theory of this, the first successful theory of the microscopic theory they gave, and they considered this VKK prime element to be constant. First of all, it was easier to calculate, because if this is not constant, then it will be very much complicated situation, and they somehow explained the physical phenomena perfectly. So it is fine. They also confirmed that taking it as a constant is not a problem. It is okay. So this VKK prime is constant, and this is the equation. So from here, this, if V is constant, then this Gk cancels out. This sum over Gk will cancel out, and this will reduce to this equation. This 1 by V equal to sum over this. Alright, and so from this actually, okay, so if you integrate this equation, this third equation, if you integrate it, actually this E has a
But what is B here?
what is?
B.
This B is the interaction strength between the electrons.
What?
Interaction strength between the electrons. This is the interaction strength. The electrons are interacting with each other. So this is the strength of the interaction between the electrons.
Okay.
Okay.
How will you get that one?
How means what you are asking? You are asking how to get this V.
Yes.
No, this V is you don't need to worry about V in here. This V, for theory you can put by hand. Like this value is actually for, as you can see in this equation, this N0V, this value is around 0.3. That we know by experiment, and when we put, so these are the interaction parameter we generally put by hand. While constructing the theories, we put by hand. So these are the adjustable parameters. And we see actually the electrons in superconducting state are actually weakly bound. Okay, so this V is actually should be very small number, not a very high number, and that is what we want to show also for the BCS kind of superconductivity, that a weak interaction can bound to electrons, not a very strong interaction, and that is visible from here. This N0V value actually we found at 0.3, where N0 is the density of states. Okay. So V is around 1. N0 generally density of states for BCS superconductivity is around 0.3, 0.5 like that. So V is around 1, you can say. Because N0 V is 0.3.
Time dependent also, na?
Yeah. That is it. That's why I am saying now we are considering here as a constant. BCS considered it as a constant. This is the BCS theory we are discussing, na?
Okay.
Yeah, it can be time dependent. Right now the kind of research people are doing, it can be anything. but we are talking about the BCS theory. So BCS theory, it is a constant.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So from here, then from this equation actually, we can, by solving this equation, we can find the E. Okay. So this will be simple integration of like d epsilon by 2 epsilon minus E, and from kf plus h cut omega to kf to kf plus h cut omega. Only up to a certain frequency range we do the integration, because up to that range only this V is also defined in such a way that V is only non-zero between a 0 to h cut omega t. So where h cut omega t is the dy frequency, and within this range only V exists, otherwise this V is 0. So if you do this calculation, so you end up from here to this. Okay, and this is important because this shows that because this EF is positive, this shows that E can be lesser than this value what we wanted. So from here the conclusion is a bound state can exist between two electrons. That is the conclusion. That is the simple conclusion, and that conclusion gives rise to this Cooper pairs. Okay, so that is the first step. This Cooper pairs can exist. Now we want to see how this interaction between these Cooper pairs is actually attractive. That we want to show how, and for that we have to focus on these three equations. Okay, so now this V, like you are asking, like Chandan was asking, that V, what is the form of the V and what can be V, we should take V, and I said that V is constant. Okay, they have taken as a constant, but let's say we want to take this V to be the normal Coulomb repulsion between the electrons. So can we get the superconducting state? So if we take the normal Coulomb repulsion, first of all we have to see that at Q equal to 0 it diverges. Okay, and Cooper pairs can be formed at 0 distance also, no problem. But at Q equal to 0 it diverges, so this is ruled out. This is not possible. But actually, fortunately, the Coulomb repulsion or Coulomb interaction is not this, actually this one inside the material, because there are some screening effect due to electrons. So the actual Coulomb repulsion or Coulomb effect is this inside the material, not this. So for that we can see, if you put Q equal to 0, luckily this doesn't diverge, so this survives, and it can be a possible potential strength, interaction strength between the electrons. Okay, but this is positive, but we have to show, we want for this to be V to be attractive. This V not only constant, we want this V to be attractive, because we want the attraction between the two electrons, not a repulsion. So how that possible? So that actually possible, how that possible? For that we have to understand this. So what is happening when an electron is in the material? What it does, it first ionizes it polarizes the medium. If you put an electron, it will polarize the medium, and what will happen? It will attract with one ion, and the rest of the ions in turn attract another electron. So first the electron will ionize the medium, the electron will polarize the medium, and the excess positive ion in turn will attract another electron. So what will happen? In that sense, two electron forms a bound state. Two electrons, if that attraction, that net positive ions attraction towards the second electron, if it can somehow overshadow this Coulomb interaction, inside the material, then it is possible to get a bound state, between electrons. Okay, to form a Cooper pair. And actually, if you see in the real material, so what is happening? What is happening is generally these ions, you should understand this ion cores as, so this, why I said that this superconductivity is arising due to electron phonon interaction. So this phonon comes into the picture due to the ions. So phonons is nothing but the vibrational quanta of the ion cores. So in solid we consider the ion cores to be the fixed some points inside the solid, like these ion cores are like what we call as the lattice points. So they are generally the ion cores, which are very slowly movable. They are not moving that much compared to the electrons. That's why they are considered as the lattice points. And this interaction between the electrons and these ion cores actually gives rise to these ion cores. Actually, when they vibrate, they gives rise to these phonons. And for that we get this electron phonon interaction. And for that, actually, if you look at this term, this second term actually arises, and this term arises due to this phonon part. So this omega q is nothing but, if you can understand, if a ion interacts with a electron, and electron suppose in a momenta before the interaction k, and after the interaction it goes to k prime, then this q is nothing but this actually k minus k prime. Okay, and this omega q is the frequency of that excess energy that is transferred, which is comes in the form of the phonon, and this is the phonon frequency actually. So this term actually they have calculated, and this term comes into the picture. And in this term, why it is important? Yeah.
That phonon is that ion is what kind of ions?
Ion means the positive core of the atom. Ion is the positive core of the atom, which doesn't move that much. Generally what happens, the electrons which is in the outermost cell, that electron generally moves in any material, moves much more than the ion, and ions are almost fixed. They are not moving that much. They are much more heavier, na? They cannot move. Okay, so they are considered as like a lattice points, and when this ion vibrate, then they give rise to the phonon. And why they are vibrating? Because there is a vibration and some interaction because of interaction, but that vibration is there, but this electron can move, like from this, they can move from here to there in the material, but ion won't move. They will just vibrate with respect to equilibrium position.
Yeah, from that
vibration you get phonon. This is the frequency of the phonon. Yeah. And that phonon frequency actually, and that energy is coming from where? That energy of the phonon is coming from that electron only. The electron had an initial velocity, like we know the elastic inelastic collision, right? So that momentum transfer gives the energy. Momentum transfer of the electron gives the energy of that ion, and in turn which comes as a phonon vibration. Understand? Yeah. So for that, this term coming into the picture, and in this term as you can see this, this omega, so this term as you can see, only when omega equal to omega q, this term is very huge, right? Actually exactly omega equal to omega q, it diverges. So near the when omega is near omega q, this term is very huge term, very large term. And generally for this theory, this omega is lesser than omega q. Omega is never equal to omega q. Okay, omega is lesser than omega q. If omega is lesser than omega q, then you can see this term can give rise to a negative. This term is negative, right? Because omega square minus omega q square. So omega q is greater than omega q. But omega is when near to this phonon frequency, this term is much more higher and negative than this term. So in general, we can see that our negative this V can be negative. That is the bottom point in here. So this origin of attractive interaction is coming from this. So this can be negative. The interaction, the physically what is happening, it can give rise to a negative interaction. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, it is clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So next, so we have now understood what is the Cooper pairs. We have understood what is the origin of the attractive interaction. Now let's talk about the BCS ground state, because any calculation ground state is very important. Only if you know the ground state, we can go to the excited states. So we always find the ground state of a system. So for ground state, these three equations is sufficient to understand. Actually, this first equation, if you can see, this equation is very much similar to this equation, right? What they have written for a trial wave function for 2 electron putting into the Fermi sea. This is the notation of the second quantization. So any one of you, I think we all are aware of second quantization, because in harmonic oscillator we have seen that ladder operator, like creation annihilation operator. So this is nothing but the same kind of concept. So this what it does, I will tell you briefly. So this Ck up star means it will create one electron with up spin and k momentum from the ground, from the, this is the, like the, what is called vacuum state. From that it can create with a k momentum up spin electron, and this can create minus k momentum down spin. So because we know that Cooper pair is always with k and minus k momentum, earlier we have said, and also this Cooper pair is okay. So one thing I missed in there, I want to talk about that little bit here now. So this generally this wave function for superconductor, so we know this is antisymmetric, it should be, because they are fermions, so it should be antisymmetric wave function, right? And antisymmetric wave function, so wave function has two parts, like the spatial part and the spin part. So the spatial part can be cosine or sine. So like here, why this cos, I forgot to tell this cos thing. So it can have a cosine term, it can have a sine term, right? The spatial part and the spin part. So if this if the spatial part is cosine, which is a even function, then spatial part has to be odd, okay? Then or by the spin part has to be odd, and in that case it will be singlet pairing. Singlet pairing means up down minus down up, okay? And if this will be sine k dot r, then it will be like a odd function. This sine is a odd function, spatial part. So the orbital part can be triplet. Triplet means up or down or up down plus down up. We know all these things, right? So so we can see that there can be the pairing between the electrons can be singlet, can be triplet also. But you see that this cos term is generally, we know that cos 0 is 1, right? So around the 0, cos has the maximum value. So when this r tends to 0, the probability is higher, definitely higher, because if it is sine, if r tends to 0, it will be 0. So it is better to take this as a cos function, and if you take it as a cos function, then your this spin part will be singlet. So generally these BCA superconductors are singlet superconductors. But what the current research is going on, like this dirty superconductor or this high temperature superconductor, heavy fermion superconductors, all are generally never shows this S wave pairing. They generally shows D wave or P wave pairing, okay? So this is a feature of the BCA superconductor, that there is a S wave pairing, that I forgot to tell. And also this term is actually coming from the wave function, and this wave function actually varies like this. And if you, this zeta k at the Fermi level, this zeta k is 0, okay? This zeta k at the Fermi level is 0. So at the Fermi level, so minimum, there is a minimum length between the superconducting particles, and that minimum length is given by this E prime, because it cannot be lesser than E prime, this cos k dot r by E prime, because it cannot be lesser than E prime. Even if zeta k is 0, E prime is a positive term, so it cannot be lesser than the distance between these particles. So that I forgot to tell. Okay, so now continuing here. So this is the same kind of that it was given in there. This is the same kind of wave function. And so but when there is a two particle, you can write the spin as up down minus down up. But when there are many particles, then generally we have to write the spin part as a Slater determinant, okay? So the Slater determinant is as a big matrix, and it depends on the number of the particles. And also then this wave function for this n particle will become like this. For each, this k and minus k is given for each pair of particles properly, like I is a pair of particle, LL is a pair of particle, and G is the corresponding weighting factors.
But
Bol.
Like here you are at confusion. Here the particle is you are talking about electron,
Yeah.
not photon, right?
No, no, only electron.
Only electron, but yeah, I have confusion little bit how to like creating mass particle with these operations. I don't know exactly. I'm a little bit curious.
Mass particle means?
Electron have mass now. Like photon generation, we can we can see
No, no.
as a,
So don't think here is the mass of the electron is not important. For this kind
No,
of
that's-
calculation, only the number of the electrons are important. This n, that is important. Mass is
Okay,
generally
that,
mass is generally sorry, mass is generally for the theory is we take as 1.
okay, that is okay. But
Yeah.
in the explanation physically, I'm asking you are taking electron.
Yeah.
So like and for curiosity, I'm asking that how to do like create mass particle like with these operations and all.
No, that's why I'm saying.
Confusion
So
I-
for this, yeah. So this is a, you have to understand little bit the concept of the Fock space, and in which the electron. So this is like what is happening. This is not about mass or something. So Fock space is like the occupation. So this is
Okay,
the
okay, now I understand.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is
For
like the
Fermi-
occupation in terms of the occupation number. So like
Yes, yes.
you have 0000050. Now you operate this
Yeah.
5C, then it will become
Now-
11111.
That fermion and bosonic for different Fock space.
Yes. That thing. So this n is important. How many C's are there? That many number of particles are there. So there are n number of this pair of C's are there. Okay. So that is important. So it can create. So this means this means nothing. This means that out of this vacuum state we can create a n particle wave function. We can.
But
Yeah.
can I ask that how experimentally we'll do this thing?
Experimentally.
We'll do these things to
We
create this.
experimentally never measure wave function, right? We measure some observable quantity. These are some
Yeah.
we never measure.
No, observable. I'm
Yeah.
not asking to measure the wave function.
Yeah.
Creation of this maybe electron and all.
Huh?
Creation of this many electron with some operation, right?
Yeah. That is mathematical. That is completely mathematical. Is a concept based. You are.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
asking how to do. Means I'm thinking how people do in lab and all.
No, see, this is a nature already have nature in nature already the electrons are being destroyed, being created. This thing is happening. This is our formalism. We want to describe the nature. So this is our formalism. We say that there is a vacuum state, and we apply these operators, and we create an electron. We destroy electron. But in nature, the nature doesn't care about these operators. But what this operator
Yeah.
tells us, that is actually happening in nature. That is actually happening. Two electrons are destroying, two electrons are going from this state to that state, they are jumping from here to there. That is happening. For that, we have to for our understanding, we have defined this kind of operators to describe those phenomena. This is a mathematical concept, but from using this concept, we will also get to that point where we can calculate some measurable quantity, and that we will measure in the lab. And by testing that, we will see that our theory was correct. What we have guessed was correct.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah, I understood, but like I'm not. Okay, I means I'm little bit how to do in lab and all those things I'm asking, but yeah.
Actually, it will take some time to understand because he is doing so many things at a time, and we can't understand this in a single video, no? I'll understand all those things.
No, that is okay. But what he is saying that how we can make this in lab. But in lab, what we were doing, you see, what you are doing is you just cooling down the material. You are not doing anything. There was a material which was not superconducting. There was not this any kind of pairing. No up down, no K minus K. No pairing, nothing. They were just like normal metal, normal material. You cooled it down. When you cooled it down, then these electrons, so what is in lab, what is happening, these electrons sensing that cooling down, they can sense that heat, they can sense that resistance, they can sense that thermal excitations, this thermal vibration, this kind of things, they can sense the impurity, they can sense all those things. And when they sense that temperature is cooling down, so thermal fluctuation is going down.
But this ground state you are telling, this is the after cooling, right?
Yeah, definitely, this is after cooling.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. After cooling, and like it will be like how.
So after
this-
cooling, how electrons are arranged within themselves, that we can describe by this wave function.
Okay. So basically, this is the ground state of your material.
This is the ground state of my material, ground state wave
Yeah,
function.
material of, and how many electrons are there in your material?
Yeah, n number of electrons.
N number. So that's what.
See,
so
these are
in-
actually in a crude sense we are saying this. In actual sense, these are not the only electrons. There are many more electrons. These are only the electrons which contribute to the superconductivity phenomenon. There are normal electrons at the same time. There are normal electrons who are not paired, who are just
Yes,
normal.
yes.
There are normal electrons who are filled up to the Fermi level, who are not even interacting, not even doing anything. These are
Yes.
the electrons, those electrons which gives rise to this superconducting phenomenon. These are those, if you can label them, these are those electrons. For them we are constructing this ground state. And for those electrons we know, so how we identify those electrons? Because we know those electrons have up and down spin, opposite spins and opposite momentum and same momentum. That's how we identify them. Once we identify them, we can write a ground state.
Yes, I was trying to understand in experiment in real space, not in Hilbert space.
Yeah, but in real space also it
Yeah.
is there. Like this k minus k up and down,
That's what.
they are interacting with each other.
Yes, that's what.
A special phone call is happening between this kind of two electrons,
Yes.
not with others, in pairs.
But here, like in superconductor, three kind of is possible. 3 electron interaction and flow of.
So far I have not seen anything like that. But you can, in principle, you can add another electron, no problem.
Okay, that will be.
But that may not give rise to superconductivity.
Yeah,
That is a 3-body problem. That will become a 3-body problem. You can do that, no problem.
It's not 3 body. If it will be linear chain, then one.
Okay, linear chain, like you were saying, so the end points are not interacting with each other.
Yes,
Or periodic boundary condition. So it depends. If
Or
you give a
periodic
periodic boundary condition, it will interact. Otherwise, it will not.
Yes,
Yeah.
like Ising type of things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just in my mind came, so I said this.
Yeah. So okay. So this is the main wave function, but actually, calculating this wave function is not possible because this n is a huge number. And we cannot calculate each of the states individually, and then finding this G is a very hectic task. It will become a very big matrix, right?
Yes.
So this is not possible. So what BCS have done, this is the genius thing. So they have constructed this ground state. So this is the actual ground state for this superconductivity, and they have considered the wave functions to be like this. So this UK plus VK and this only only 2 electrons state they have written, and like it's a product state, like for all the momentum. So what this actually means, this ground state, what it means, so this VK is the probability that both the electrons are occupied in this state, and UK is the probability that they are not. In together they construct this ground state out of this vacuum. So if it operates on this vacuum, this term will generate a couple of electrons with k minus k, and if UK is operating on this, you just get in turn like no electron, nothing, only you get back the vacuum state only. So this is the actual superconducting ground state which is we usually use for the calculation. and this can be any momentum. Okay, so this is the ground state wave function, and then for finding the gap, actually there are two methods are there. One is variational method and another is canonical transformation. So these are the two methods by which we can find so we want to find the superconducting gap, right? So first I will discuss the variational method. Actually this variational method was originally done by this BCS. They did this variational method, and this modern research we are doing actually canonical transformation, this second method.
But
Yeah,
little bit faster.
yeah. A little bit faster, but then you will not understand so many things. That's why I'm going slow. It's okay, means at least let's how much I will give 20 more minutes. How much will happen? It's okay, but let's understand fully whatever we are doing.
Okay.
Then maybe we will not complete the things.
Yeah, that is the thing. Actually, I have a plan for this second part. I can give half an hour someday, maybe, if we are both are interested.
Yeah. Yes, you
Today we can do only
you
up to
can do it,
BCS.
Yeah.
If you both are interested and someday have time, then this Ginzburg-Landau we can discuss about.
Yeah, I will tell because my DC presentation and all those things are also coming. So I will tell time if I.
Yeah, it's okay. It's up to you. At least one theory, if we discuss properly, that is also good.
Okay, tell you.
Yeah. So this finding this gap. Actually, there are two methods. The variational method was originally used by BCS, and this canonical transformation is generally what we are doing right to nowadays. And so this what they have done is actually okay. I'll be little bit faster. So they have done a variational method. Actually, one thing I want to say from this equation, if you see, if you put V equal to 0, then actually this is not well defined. If you put V equal to 0, this term is not well defined, and that is actually one of the reason why you cannot solve the BCS theory in perturbative approach, and that is actually one of the reason why it took a lot of time to the genesis of the theory of BCS superconductivity, because you cannot solve this perturbatively. So we are solving here using variational method. So variational method is this is the this kinetic part, this is the potential part, this is the interaction part, and then what you do, you try to patch this between the ground state and try to variate them, and by variating them you get some equations, you solve them, you get the gap equation. It's simple, it's like that. So you put it in here. Now important thing to notice in here is, so here actually this so once you got this ground state, so this psi g is this uk, vk and this phi 0, and here also you can see this is patched between this psi g. So when you write this thing in terms, so this whole term will come in as a function of uk and vk, right? Is that clear? This whole term will come as a function of uk and vk, because this uk and vk, this and c dagger c, they have some rules, because c dagger c is like the number operator, so they will vanish. The c will no longer be there. They will return some values and they will vanish. The only value will remain in this term will be in terms of u and v, right? Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of u and v. And this, so u and v, we substitute u and v as a, and u and v is always maintains a property that u square plus v square equal to 1. So in that sense, this so u and v we can take as like sin theta and cos theta and put it in here, u as sin theta, v as cos theta, and then you end up with this equation. But this
Why
Yeah.
u square v square equals to 1?
So what actually happens if y u square plus v square equal to 1? The main reason is, so u v actually comes as as the eigenfunction. So if you diagonalize the Hamiltonian, you get eigenfunction corresponding to eigenvector, and u and v's are actually the eigenfunction of that eigenvector. And as you know, the eigenvectors are normalized. So u square plus v square equal to 1. Eigenvectors are normalized generally.
Okay, so
So actually, if you write the eigenvector of this
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
U star means you are telling U star U.
U star U.
Okay.
Mod of U square, right.
Okay.
Mod of U square, mod of V square, yeah. So in that sense they will always be 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So by variating them with respect to just find the derivative with respect to theta, and you get this equation, and you get this equation of delta k, which is this u and v will become like sin theta cos theta, so 2 sin 2 theta. So this is a one gap equation. This is one gap equation, and this energy, now this energy is the excitation energy of becomes the excitation energy. That also you can find from this. From here only we find these things, and that can be shown as to be delta square plus zeta square. So here notice one thing, even if zeta is 0, so at the generally we measure this energy from the Fermi level. So even if zeta is 0, there is a finite gap. So this is the superconducting energy gap, and that is the minimum energy required to break the Cooper pair. So this energy, if you give 2 of delta, if you give, then it will break the Cooper pair. Okay. So this is like that. Yeah.
So here, like only varying your space, minimizing only in the spatial part.
No, not spatial part, because because we have I said na, this term will come in terms of u and v, and u and v we are taking as a parametric substitution, because u square plus v square is always 1. It is just for convenient. You can do it like a del u or del v also, no problem. Understand?
And here VKL form is, if you will give it in a special form or some other form, then it will be like more complicated.
More complicated. V is
There is
constant.
a
Throughout the
constant.
calculation, V is constant for BCS.
Okay.
If it is a variable, then it will be different. Actually, yeah, it will be very difficult.
Yes.
Generally, V is constant. Means it's not only that we are taking it as a constant, but in material also, it is found experimentally also that it's generally constant. This V is not varying. Yeah. That is a true phenomena. It's not like that we are taking it.
Yeah, so any properties changes, V will be constant.
Yeah. V is throughout the theory, it is constant.
V
Generally,
is
interaction
a-
strength we take as a constant.
Interaction, right?
This is not interaction, this is interaction strength. What is the strength of the interaction, which is generally constant?
Okay. But it will not change, like suppose so suppose I'm taking.
Sorry, it's not audible for me actually. What did you say?
Now it is audible.
Is it audible, busy now?
It's audible when you say, but when Chandan says, it's like
Chandan, yeah, you say it little bit loud.
Now it is audible.
yeah, like I can hear your voice, but the words are not coming clearly.
Now?
Yeah, now it's okay. You just
Okay, I'm
say little bit loud, okay?
Okay. Wait a minute. Yeah. Okay, fan is, so it was there. Now it is clear.
Yeah.
Vijay?
Yes, now it's clear.
Yeah, so I am discussing about this VKL. It is like coupling strength of between two electrons. So if suppose while traveling means flowing of two electron, if their distance little bit distorted or changes, so that will be strength will be the same.
Yeah.
So
Distorted means what? Means electrons cannot
Distorted.
be distorted, right? Electrons are electrons, and their
Electrons
their
are
interaction is interaction. But there can be some other material, some impurity, this kind of thing, defects. That kind of things can be present in the material. But
Yes.
electrons will always be electrons, and their interaction strength will always be same. but that effect we will consider otherwise, and that is generally, yeah, that is a research that we do.
So, suppose all the electrons' strength will be the same.
That's what I'm saying. These superconducting interactions between the electrons, the strength is fixed. But if there are some kind of impurities or some kind of other phenomena is there which we have to take as we have to consider them, then we have to consider them separately, and that effect will add up to the electron. No problem. No
Okay.
problem. Means that will reduce the energy or increase the energy likewise.
Okay.
That
But
that
in
is extra term. That is extra term.
But in generally, like we suppose we in generally like two electrons are there. If their distance little bit, just I'm asking.
Yeah, in
Distance
general,
is like
in general, delta is constant. Like this, delta is also constant because this V and U is constant. But in so many superconductors, actually, this delta, like if for what my system, this delta changes its sign between the pockets. For so many superconductors, the delta is not constant. Also, that special variation is also there. We can actually, this V will be not changing, but we can add some special variation in here. Like with distance, it can change. That kind of thing also doable. That kind of things also there. Okay, but interaction strength will not change. That is V. Maybe V naught, some other factor will come. Understand?
okay, means spatial will not change, but strength will be the same.
Strength will be same, but specially we can give a variation, like with distance maybe. So like that. So there will be some multiplicative term with here. It
This
can be.
one, yeah, this one is kind of entanglement is coming.
Yeah. This superconductor is entangled, na?
Yeah, this is like it is phenomena of kind of entanglement. Whatever you are telling me, it is not.
Why you are
constant
saying
length.
that? Can you tell?
What?
Why you are saying that? Can you tell me clear little bit?
Yeah, because if the entanglement properties it's doesn't depend on like how much they are far away. Even
Yeah.
they are especially separated. One is here and one you can send moon also.
Yes.
So they are entangled. How
Yeah.
much? Even they are not interacted. Means other perturbative things are not there. Then.
Correct.
Yeah. So here I don't know what things are happening. So that's what.
Yeah, here that's what I'm saying. Here generally it is constant, but you can give a special variation like this delta may be change in the vicinity of the material. Some point it is some value, some point it is some value, but there will be a finite rule. It will not change like abruptly.
So that's why I'm telling for different spatial separation for the different this strength will come.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
I'm telling correct? Or
Can you say once more?
like when you especially like spatial part increasing or decreasing depend on that the V value will change, strength will change.
Strength will not change. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It
that,
can be like V into something, some e to the power some factor I phi or something like that. Okay.
yeah, that. Okay, carry.
Yeah. So yeah. So actually from this, actually I showed that you can this V and you can calculate in terms of this energy. From there are in this. These are some kind of algebraic calculations. And this is actually this delta finally we find by integrating it, and this is the gap, superconducting gap generally for VCS superconductor, as you that we have also seen earlier also this term. And so yeah, so one thing to notice in here is this plot here. This is the plot of the VK square. Okay, so VK square is generally, so this is, we know that this is the plot of the Fermi function, right? This Fermi distribution function. So this hello. Are you guys there?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is generally like the Fermi. You can see that Vk square is generally, it looks like the Fermi function, right? And my voice is echoing. Yeah.
No, for us it is fine.
Okay. So this is the Fermi function. So Vk square is just like the same kind of thing, and Vk square actually it has the maximum value around this gap, superconducting gap energy scale. It has the maximum value, and well below, above this, like we said, this phonon frequency, this dY frequency, dY energy, above that it goes to 0. So the probability of probability of finding the superconducting electrons within this energy range is, generally they are in this energy range. So this is the approximation that we did the integration up to this some cutoff. So that is valid. This shows that is valid, because generally this Vk is this strength, right? This Vk is this one, the probability of occupancy of both the electrons from the ground state. So
Yes.
this Vk is more in this range. So it means that from this plot. And so next, canonical transformation. In this kind of thing actually we generally do, and we introduce order parameter. We generally do a mean field. So we mean field means a field experienced by one particle, and that field is created by all other particles, and we average it out. We say that every particle will feel this same kind of field. Okay, so that's why we mean field. That's why there were earlier 4 terms, now there are only 2 C, and one is this constant, and this is nothing but this C L down minus L down, C L up. This thing is the B. So like this kind of mean field we do, and then we do canonical transformation. This is the canonical transformation, and these gammas are the quasi particles. And here comes the concept of the quasi particles. So quasi particles are the intermediate particles. Like this ground state we have earlier seen, that is the ground state for this C and C. But if we operate these quasi particles on this ground state, then that will vanish. So the ground
this mean field theory to find the ground state.
So these quasi particles, are like the intermediate particles. What is happening due to the interaction, so the ground state of the quasi particles are different than the ground state of this, but they have one-to-one correspondence. And so like this also we can find this delta, this superconducting gap in this scenario from this kind of method also, and we'll end up with the same kind of equation. And there also we have included a little bit of time dependence. This time dependence is coming from actually this term from this term, this 1 minus 2 of this term, from there it is coming. And then this superconducting gap actually we find to be like this. And okay, so let's little bit talk about isotope effect, and then I'll explain this plot. So isotope effect, little bit I want to say that only thing, let's know that. So isotope effect means, so what we have said earlier, we have said that there can be one electron which can polarize the medium, and the excess positive ion will attract another electron. So if that consideration is true, then this isotope effect should show different TC, because for a same isotope means what? Same material but the mass is different, mass number is different, right? Isotope means same material but mass number is different. So if the mass number is a factor, because mass number will generate the pull to the electron. So if more mass number, more pull. So if mass number is different, so more pull means this more different. It will vary the this transition temperature, because it will vary the gap parameter. And transition temperature, this gap parameter is nothing, depends on this TCs depend on this delta. So delta and TC has a relation. So isotope effect, actually if we measure for different isotopes of the same material, we see that different variation of TC. So this is a confirmation that our consideration was true. Okay, and so this plot means this delta is generally at T equal to 0 is maximum. At 0 temperature this gap is maximum, and at certain temperature this gap vanishes. At certain temperature this gap vanishes. When T equal to Tc, this is 1. When T equal to Tc, this is 1, and when this is T equal to Tc, this delta vanishes. So this plot means that. And Then density of state and electron tunneling, two more things we have to discuss. And actually there is not much equations, so I will discuss just these plots. Okay. So as you know that we can find the density of states, and if you find the density of states for superconductor, then you see that when this energy is generally under root delta square plus zeta square. So when E and delta are 1, that means this zeta equal to 0, that means at the Fermi level. At the Fermi level generally this E and delta is going to be 0, E is going to be delta, so this diverges. So this density of state diverges at this point for superconductor, and after beyond that, when E is less than delta, it is 0. So this enters into the normal state. Okay, so beyond delta there is a superconducting state, smaller than delta there is a normal state. So this density of state plots tells about that, and this is the normal material plot. This dotted line is the normal material plot, and this curved plot is the superconducting material. So this we know at the zero energy. Okay, when zeta equal to 0, for normal material the energy is also 0, but for superconducting material there is a delta that is not 0. So that is the confirmation of the gap. So even at zero energy, when zeta is 0 at the Fermi level, there is opens a gap opening is there. So this plot tells you about that. And also, since this energy is nothing but E square equal to zeta square plus delta square, so zeta can be plus and minus both. So this zeta can be plus and minus both means it can be electrons, it can be holes also. Yeah, so for both the cases there will be 2 states. Yeah, something like that. And tunneling, so what is happening? Tunneling means, so when if we separate two material, okay, by a insulating layer, then generally we know the tunneling happens from one metal to another. Right. So this tunneling also like that. So if we separate by one normal metal to normal to superconductor by a insulating layer, then electrons will automatically go from one layer to another layer by quantum mechanical tunneling, and that we can understand from this picture. From this picture, actually this is a normal material, and this mu means up to this electrons are filled. You can think like this is a bottle of electrons are filled up to mu, and this picture, if you notice clearly, this picture is nothing but this picture. So this phase is the superconducting phase, and this phase is the normal phase. And superconducting phase also, here is the density of states was diverging. So and this is the applied voltage, this EV is the applied voltage difference between these two. So if the normal metal has some mu is higher than this line, then electron can tunnel from here to there. It's simple, right? You can understand. From here to there electron can tunnel because energy is higher in here, and there is available states are there. So this is normal to superconducting tunneling. In this picture, this is superconducting to superconducting tunneling, and this white spaces are the holes, and this
what is mu here?
Mu is the chemical potential. Chemical potential means generally describes the number of electrons available in the system. So this is around like the Fermi level, and this is the electrons, and these white spaces are the holes. So this cross spaces are the electrons, these white spaces are the holes. And as you can see here also, for superconducting to superconducting tunneling also, from available space only, from here to there only it can tunnel, from here to here it cannot tunnel. So and this is the delta gap is there, and from hole electron can tunnel from this hole. So this is the tunneling picture, which is generally described by this kind of Hamiltonian, and with actually there are a lot of things was there to be told, but yeah.
But here it is not low energy to high energy tunneling, like.
Yeah, this is the higher energy, na?
This higher to lower energy it is there.
Yeah.
I'm asking lower energy to higher energy.
Yeah, that can also be there. Can also be this Hermitian conjugate term is there, na? That means tunneling can be both ways.
Yeah, that's what we read no, in quantum mechanics.
Yeah. Tunneling can be
Potential
both. Barrier, yeah. It can be both ways. That's why this Hermitian conjugate term is there. So C K star. C,
But that
C
one
star-
in terms of probability, right?
Yeah, probability. This T will be also there. So that probability how much? Actually, both the things are there. But we are only interested in this. So we'll do the calculation like that. But both the things are there. In theory, both the things are there. And this T actually describes all the things. This material type, T depends on the material type, this gap and all the thing, and how many electrons will tunnel and stuff. And this is the current actually we get like that.
So here like
And this bol.
Electron tunnel means Cooper pair tunnel.
Cooper pair will tunnel from superconductor only. From normal metal to superconductor, only electron tunneling. It is the basic concept of tunneling I am saying. Tunneling
Okay.
current. Superconductor, when it is happening, only Cooper pair can go there. Here it
Cooper
cannot.
pair.
Yeah, here Cooper pair it cannot go. Nee, actually here also Cooper pair can go. Actually there is a phenomena which is called Andreev reflection. In Andreev reflection, actually this normal superconductor junction also can give rise to a Cooper pair. So there is what is happen, one electron goes and one holes come. One electron goes from here to there and one holes come from here to there, and in terms both at the same time gives rise to a Cooper pair, because one hole is nothing but electron in the opposite direction. So that is called
Then
that
all
is
this
kind of
phenomena, it is like
Andreev reflection, that is called. That kind of phenomenon is
Yeah.
also possible.
Yeah, that one is interesting.
Yeah. That is
And
there
it-
in my material. Andreev reflection is there.
Yeah, so it will be like always in superconducting phase only these things are possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and from this is the current versus voltage relation, and there here one thing interesting to notice. So when this at the gap, when EB by delta equal to 1, the current becomes vanishes. Beyond that it will not go. So that also confirms about the gap. So at the gap only, beyond the superconducting gap, it cannot. There is no current, no tunneling current. Yeah. Okay, so this is the thing actually. We have completed these things: Cooper pairs, origin of attractive interaction, the BCS ground state we have seen, then finding the gap, variational method, canonical transformation, both the method. Then we talked about isolative effect. Then we see these tests. Actually, these things we see it a little bit faster because it's already 1 hour 10 minutes. And this density of states, finite temperature, but we have seen these plots and understood a little bit. And so if we can get some time, I knew that this will not be covered by today, so in next lecture sometime, if we can find some time, I will discuss this Ginzburg-Landau theory completely. Okay,
Okay.
so any more question or anything, or I'll stop. I am recording, so I'll stop the recording.
And no, it's okay. Like, you can stop the recording.
Okay.
Yes, I think I asked most of the doubts.
Yeah.